Update. Broke up over tattoos. Ex no longer agrees with our breakup. Original post. I want to preface this with a disclaimer that there is nothing wrong with having tattoos if you want and like them. They aren't my thing. Please don't take this as a condemnation of tattoos or the people who get them as a whole. So my ex and I were together about a year. Early on in the relationship, she had mentioned wanting to get some tattoos. I told her she had every right to do so since it's her body, but I find tattoos very unattractive, and I would likely break up if she went through with it. It became a small fight, and she was cold and passive-aggressive about it for a few days, but eventually, she said she understood and would not be getting the tattoos done. Fast forward to about 2 months ago, and she makes another attempt to get me on board with tattoos. I reiterate my stance and tell her again she can do it, but I won't stick around if she does. I went out of town to visit my cousin for a week and came home to her with a partial sleeve done. Her arm was basically one big scab. I asked her what was going on, and she just nonchalantly said her best friend had talked with her and agreed I was being unreasonable, so she went ahead and used my time out of town to get it done, so I wouldn't be around to be a buzzkill about it. She said she got as much inked as the guy was willing to do in one sitting, and once she was healed, she planned to get it extended. The tattoo was already a deal breaker for me, but the blatant disrespect and casual way she was implying my opinion didn't matter, broke my feelings for her right there. We fought, and eventually, she just told me to get the heck out and locked herself in the bathroom. Thank God she did this when she did, because I was close to not renewing my lease at my apartment and moving in with her. I packed my stuff up and left while she crap-talked me to her best friend on the phone. I dropped her stuff off from my place the next day. She told me I was making a huge mistake and throwing a good thing away for petty reasons. I just handed her the bag and left. That was weeks ago. I didn't hear from her until today. She called me. Here's a very brief summary of the call. Her. Okay, the petty drama has run its course. You can move back in and move on, okay? Me. No, we are broken up. It's over permanently. I don't want to get back together. Her. We aren't getting back together. This was just a spat that got out of hand. You freaked out and left in a huff. I know you're just too proud to admit you're wrong, so we'll just call it even and you can come back. Me. No, I told you repeatedly that tattoos are a deal breaker. You did it anyway, and then disrespected me on top of that with the way you went about it. We're done. You can move on now. Find a guy that finds your new ink attractive, because I find it repulsive and wouldn't be able to look at you or that arm again. The conversation goes in circles for a bit before I hang up. Then she tries sending me some nudes in an attempt to seduce me, but her body does nothing for me now, and her sleeve was visible, which, even after it healed, was gross and unflattering. I told her I deleted them and to leave me alone. Blocked. She then messaged me on Snap saying she never agreed to a breakup, and I owed her a conversation face-to-face if I wanted to end things. Blocked again. I know it's bad form to be a guy calling his ex crazy, but this girl is nuts. Edit. I find all the talk about me being shallow pretty funny, considering she told me that if I ever gained weight or stopped going to the gym, she'd leave me. Heck, she put on weight throughout our entire relationship, and it never once made me consider leaving her. I still found her beautiful. When she changed her hair color to colors I didn't like, I never said a bad word to her about it. I was supportive. I didn't like it, but it wasn't a deal breaker. Now for the top comments before reading the update. A breakup is not a debate, and it doesn't need consensus agreement. Speaking of, she thinks that he can't consent. It's her body, agreed. He can't consent to what she does, but he can consent to what someone with a tattoo does to him, which means sex that he doesn't want. And she is telling him he can't consent to ending a relationship? You two were just incompatible. Nothing wrong with breaking up over it. On to the next adventure. Could you please let her know she's supposed to be on a new adventure? She seems to think we're still on the old one. Be prepared for the crazy to really start now. If you have any shared friends still, make sure it's clear that I have ended the relationship. It has been over since she got the tattoo. Any further attempt for her to contact me is harassment and/or stalking behavior and will be reported to the police. Feel free to unblock her and let her be left on red to gather any further evidence of harassment or stalking behaviors. I hope she doesn't escalate, but my friends know we're broken up. A few of her friends know as well. Her best friend seems to share her opinion that we're still together, though. If she shows up to bother me, there are cameras all over the place here. Now for the update. I came here a week ago to vent about a strange situation with my ex getting a tattoo and it resulting in us breaking up. Weeks later, she acted like our breakup was just a spat and that I was being unreasonable. I told her we were broken up permanently and blocked her. She then tried to message me on other platforms, demanding a face-to-face meeting because she never agreed to the breakup. Had a lot of fun reading responses, and while I didn't need validation to know what I did was right, I still appreciate the supportive folks. The negative ones accusing me of being shallow, controlling, weird, and all sorts of other things because I have a preference for fun too. Didn't change my mind one bit, but I'm glad you guys were able to get those things off your chests as well. In the end, the tattoo was a secondary cause of our breakup in my mind. She disregarded what we'd spoken about and agreed to early on in the relationship. When I didn't give her the supportive response she wanted, she proceeded to belittle and insult me, then kicked me out of her home, which I was close to moving into full-time. Then she locked herself in the bathroom and loudly insulted me while on the phone with her best friend, who had been the one to convince her to get the tattoo while I was out of town. At that point, we were done. I took my stuff back to my place and brought her stuff from mine back to hers. So, she showed up at my place last night with a bag full of my bathroom stuff from her place. Just a bottle of body wash and a few other things. She asked to come in and talk, but I stepped outside, and we talked out front where the cameras could see. She asked if I was really breaking up with her over a tattoo, and I reiterated that it was about more than the tattoo at this point, and that I wasn't breaking up with her. I had already broken up with her weeks ago. She tried to argue that our relationship was stronger than that, but I told her it wasn't. That while I was comfortable with her, this whole incident made me realize I wasn't happy with her. Her treating me poorly was the wake-up call we both needed to go our separate ways and find people we could be truly happy with. She kept trying to argue that this was crazy and I was throwing a good thing away. I told her that I wished she'd just gotten the tattoo when we started dating. We could have broken up and just been friends. She said she'd considered it, but decided she'd rather be with me than get the tattoo, so she lied to me when she said she was okay not getting one. Then, when I went on my trip, her best friend convinced her to get it and claimed I'd get over it and stick around. The guy that did the first part of her sleeve was an old FWB of her friend and agreed to do it for a discount. The conversation sort of went in circles for a bit before she tossed the bag at me and left crying, yelling, "Fine, we're freaking over then." So that's that. She showed up at my place like a lot of people predicted, but no stabby stabs or anything. Friends told me she made a bunch of vague posts about heartbreak on social media, but I haven't seen any of it. Regardless of how things went down, I hope she heals and finds someone who can be more supportive of her choices than I was. Thanks to those people who offered me support for my decision. And to everyone calling me shallow, controlling, and weird for my stance on tattoos, I gotta say, I had a blast reading those comments. Absolutely hilarious. Nah, man, I'm sure we've all seen controlling, and this doesn't seem like it fits the bill. I personally think it's insane to break up over a tattoo, but hey, we all have preferences. All you did was set your boundary clearly and uphold your stance. And you're right, the tattoo is merely a symptom. The real issue was her disregard for your boundaries. I made it very clear early on. It's her body, and she has every right to change it how she likes. I just made it equally clear that I don't like tattoos, and I'd find it hard to be attracted to her if she got them. It's a hard line in the sand for me, especially given how many tattoos she said she'd want. I was able to overlook her dyeing her hair colors I didn't like, and had no problem with her putting on weight as much as she complained about it. Still thought she was beautiful. But regardless of how much people want to insult me for it, I just can't pretend that I find tattoos anything but unattractive on someone I'm supposed to be attracted to. Her best friend convinced her to get it and claimed I'd get over it and stick around. I really want to know how their friendship is going. Wish I had an answer for you, but I don't really know. The first time I read the previous post, I had a suspicion that the friend wanted the breakup to happen. Still kind of think that if not, she really isn't brightest bulb if she thinks someone will just get over a deal breaker that has been mentioned multiple times. It's strange, because we actually got along well up until this tattoo business. She was pretty supportive of the relationship in general. Heck, she's the only person other than my ex that tried to get me to move back in after the breakup. Next story. I've been lying to everyone about why I broke up with my girlfriend. I broke up with my girlfriend last week, and I've been lying to everyone about why. Truth is, I won a pretty substantial amount of money about 8 months ago and kept it quiet. $750,000 after taxes since people were asking. It was a lucky bet on stake. Only told her. Almost overnight, she became a different person. Started planning these extravagant trips, talking about our future constantly, and pushing me to invest in her startup idea. She'd never shown interest in entrepreneurship before. The final straw was finding texts to her friend about how she finally found her meal ticket and how she was set for life now. When I confronted her, she cried and swore I misunderstood. But I'd seen enough. Her mask slipped. Everyone thinks we broke up because we grew apart or whatever. I don't have the energy to explain the truth and deal with all the questions. It hurts like hell knowing someone I trusted for 3 years was just waiting for a payday. Now I'm questioning every relationship in my life. Money really does show you who people are. Just wish I hadn't had to learn that lesson the hard way. Definitely dodged a bullet there. Not to rain on your parade, but $750,000 can vanish in an instant with multiple big purchases or failed startups. True, but it's also nothing to sneeze at either. That would be a life-changing amount of money for me. I could buy a house. Buy a relatively decent house, slap a brand new roof on it and newer appliances, reefer, hot water tank, heating unit, etc. Keep a little spending money and invest the rest. You'd be set for a long while. Keep working, of course. Money makes people weird. Don't tell people, just don't. Yeah, learning that lesson the expensive way. I kept it quiet from friends and family, but thought I could trust her. Big mistake. Seeing her true colors was painful AF, but better than being used for years, I guess. Still sucks. The weirdest part is how fast she changed, like literally the day after I told her. Never again. What happened if she starts telling everyone, including your family and friends? As long as OP doesn't change his spending habits, ex-girlfriend will just sound like a lying drama queen. Yeah, and really, he doesn't even have to disclose how much he won to anyone if it does get out. He could say it really wasn't a substantial amount enough to retire on, which is pretty much true these days. Last story. My 28 male, girlfriend 32 female, used to say marriage only benefits men and made it sound like a trap, and now she's wondering why I haven't proposed. So, I've been with my girlfriend for almost 5 years. Great relationship overall. We live together, we get along well, and we've supported each other through a lot. No major issues, at least nothing explosive. Looking back over the last few weeks, she has been dropping hints and the tension has been growing. But let me not get ahead of myself so these thoughts remain organized. Thing is, when we started dating, she was extremely clear about her views on it. Her take, marriage overwhelmingly benefits men and turns women into live-in support systems. I remember the first time it came up, she straight up said, marriage is the worst deal for women. It's unpaid labor wrapped in a white dress. That was within the first 6 months of dating. And it wasn't just her. Her friends echoed the same vibe constantly. Over the years, I'd overhear them during wine nights, brunches, etc. Some greatest hits. Once you get married, you're expected to do everything. Planning holidays, buying gifts, remembering birthdays, raising kids. What do men do? Grill once a year and change a light bulb? You marry a man, and suddenly you're his secretary, stylist, nanny, and maid hybrid that doubles as an emotional support animal. If I get married, I want a maid, a therapist, and a chef, because that's what I'd be giving him. Marriage is just the start of a woman's slow disappearance. It's like you lose your name, your time, and your autonomy. And for what? Tax breaks and shared Netflix? One of the more memorable ones came from her best friend, who said, "Every married woman I know is tired and invisible." They all nodded and agreed. My girlfriend added, "They propose when they're ready, not when you are." Meanwhile, we age, compromise, and still end up doing most of the work in a marriage. Hearing this stuff repeatedly, I stopped seeing marriage as a realistic goal with her. I figured she had strong principles about it and didn't want to be that guy trying to change her mind. So I mentally moved on from the idea. I shifted focus to my business and expanded rapidly. My physical health, personal development, pretty much changed my overall goal to learning whatever new things I found interesting and building as much wealth so I can have enough to go anywhere at any time and just be free. I started seeing long-term commitment outside of marriage as more freeing and flexible. And honestly, I felt good about that. Then last week happened. It was movie night and we were watching The Vow. She looked over at me and said, kind of playfully but not really, "Do you ever think about proposing?" And I said, "Honestly, I used to. But I didn't think marriage was something you even wanted." She then said, I used to feel that way, yeah. But people change. I've grown. It's not just about feeling like I should get married. It's about partnership, security, building a life together. I've been thinking a lot about the future, and I don't just want to live with someone forever without the commitment. It's not about the wedding or the social status. It's about knowing that we're in this for the long haul, that we're making a permanent choice to be together. I guess I've just started wanting that deeper kind of security, you know? It's like there's something about the act of committing to each other officially that feels like the next step for us. I took a minute to process what she said, and I said, "I get that, but I guess I've changed too." After years of hearing how negative marriage sounded to you and the way your friends talked about it, I sort of made peace with not going that route. It stopped being something I chased. She looked surprised, almost hurt. She said, "So now you don't want to marry me because of things I said years ago?" I told her, "It's not about holding it against you, but that narrative influenced me. I adapted to what I thought your values were. I let go of it because it seemed like marriage was something you'd never want. And now that you do, I'm not sure if I still do, or if it even makes any sense at all." She didn't respond right away. It's been awkward ever since. Also, just to clarify, this wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision either. I've thought about the logistics too. At my current income level, if we filed jointly, our taxes would actually go up. I manage all major finances, and I've grown a business that would be seriously affected if it ever had to be divided in a divorce. The legal risks are real. Everything we already have, emotional support, shared goals, cohabitation, intimacy, we pretty much already live like we're married, just without the paperwork and legal vulnerabilities. The benefits of marriage don't outweigh the potential costs anymore, especially when things like estate planning, power of attorney, and insurance already exist. I'm not trying to villainize her. People do change, but I change too. And after years of being told marriage turns women into exhausted, bitter shadows of themselves, how am I supposed to flip a switch and pretend I didn't internalize that? So now I'm stuck in this weird place. I love her. I'm not against commitment. But marriage, after everything we've both said and believed, I don't know if it still makes sense for me. And I don't want to pretend I didn't spend years mentally adjusting to the idea of never being a husband. Anyone been through something similar? You're getting some pretty annoying comments from people who either don't believe you or don't believe your partner. I believe you both. I think this is reasonable. How about relationship counseling to really work through this issue? Definitely. This couple is not good at communicating and seems to rely a lot on implication for serious conversations. Getting your communication up is the perfect case for couples counseling.